Julian Carrington was 55, silver-templed and sharp as ever. A high-performing financier from London's financial district, he had weathered 3 market crashes and 1 bitter divorce without so much as a wrinkle of regret. Success was measured in silence, a penthouse in Canary Wharf, tailored suits, no children, no ties. He needed a weekend, solitude, something disconnected from markets and motion. The listing had found him, oddly, in a tucked-away section of a private luxury travel newsletter, the Dalloway estate, a weekend of stillness for discerning gentlemen. Photos showed a sprawling manor wrapped in mist, Georgian architecture, endless staircases, ivy-covered stone, the kind of old money place where silence felt expensive. Julian booked it without a second thought. He arrived late Friday afternoon. The gravel crunched beneath his Mercedes as the estate loomed in the grey light. Gables, turrets, leaded glass. The air smelled of wet stone and lavender, and the fog drifted like sleep itself. At the entrance, a tall woman greeted him, late 60s, perhaps older, hair the color of ash pinned tightly back, dressed in what looked like haute couture funeral wear. "Mr. Carrington, welcome," she said, voice like lacquer. "We're honored to have you." Inside, it was quiet, chillingly so. The drawing rooms lined with portraits of unsmiling aristocrats. Candlelight glimmered on crystal decanters. No music, no ticking clocks, only the echo of his own steps on marbled floors. Everywhere he saw them, older women in dark silk, statuesque and poised, always accompanied by young men, tall, handsome, suited like GQ covers, and utterly silent. They never met his eyes, always facing away, standing in corners, at the end of hallways, like sentinels. Dinner that night was served in a chandeliered hall that could seat 50. Only 6 tables were occupied, all identical. 1 regal woman, 1 beautiful, mute young man beside her. Julian dined alone. The women watched him between sips of Bordeaux, polite but hungry. That night, he could not sleep. The walls creaked. The wind moaned like something trapped. From his window, he saw figures moving through the foggy garden, men in suits pacing slowly, expressionless, always with their backs turned. At 3:12 a.m., he heard a whisper outside his door, then a soft, almost wet knock. He didn't open it. By morning, everything was wrong. The estate was nearly empty, no voices, no staff. The women were gone, or perhaps hiding. Only the young men remained, standing silently in corridors, on balconies at the edge of the misted grounds. Julian tried to speak to one, touch the man's shoulder. He didn't move, didn't breathe, didn't have a face, only smooth skin where features should have been. Julian stumbled backward, fell. When he looked up again, the man was gone. He tried to leave. His car was missing. No signal, no phones. The doors, somehow, all locked from the outside. He began to wander. Staircases that spiraled in impossible directions, dining rooms repeating like a loop. He passed the same mirror 3 times in a single hallway. Someone was watching him, always just behind the next corner. That night, the estate grew colder. The walls wept moisture. The scent of lavender rotted into something sweeter, like spoiled honey. At 2:44 a.m., he felt it, a sharp pain, his neck like a fang. He collapsed. When Julian woke, the sky outside had turned pale. The fog had thickened. He staggered to the mirror. What looked back was not Julian Carrington. It was a young man, no more than 25, sculpted cheekbones, dead eyes, dressed in a black suit, standing very, very still. Julian screamed, but the sounds never came out. His throat worked, jaw moved, lungs burned, but nothing escaped. Silence held him like a glove. He reached out, trembling fingers brushing the mirror's surface. The reflection did not match his motions. It blinked when he did not, tilted its head at a different angle, smiled, a slow, wrong smile. Panic surged. He stumbled back. He had to get out, had to find help. The hallways had changed again. The wallpaper pulsed, veins in the pattern now visibly throbbing. The staircases spiraled endlessly upward, like a carousel of wood and velvet. He walked for what felt like hours. Each corridor returned him to the same point. A tall oak door with gilded trim. The door opened for him without touch. Inside, candlelight flickered across a dining table set for 7. 6 women sat, back straight, eyes on him. Each wore black, necklaces made of human teeth, pale skin tight against skulls, regal and undead. Beside each one stood a young man, motionless, expressionless, beautiful. Julian's legs moved on their own. He stood beside the 7th woman. She did not look at him, but she spoke. Her voice was smoke. Your name was Julian Carrington. That is no longer necessary. He tried to move, to run. His body refused. You are a vessel now, a shadow, a prize. Your blood was clean, your soul expensive. A pause. Then she smiled. You'll stand here until we're hungry again. He doesn't know how long it's been. Time has no taste here. Only fog, only cold. The house is always dusk, always whispering. Julian sees through his own eyes, but they are no longer his. He feels himself standing by her side in every room, staring forward, still. Sometimes he sees new guests arrive, mostly older men, drawn by the promise of status, of exclusivity, of rest. They check in, smile politely. They don't notice the others, the silent ones standing in the corners, the ones with blank faces. They think they are staff or art. Julian wants to scream a warning. He wants to weep, but he only watches, trapped in the young skin, suited, polished, perfect. Weeks later, a new man arrives, late 50s, a surgeon perhaps, or an art dealer. Wealth in the way he carries his silence. He checks in, tips in cash, orders a brandy in the Rosewood salon. As he sips, he glances across the room, sees a young man standing beside a woman in black. The man is flawless, sharp-jawed, pale, glass-eyed. He frowns. There's something familiar, something in the way the young man's fingers tremble ever so slightly, something in the eyes, pleading, frozen. He can't quite place it. It almost looks like someone he once knew, someone successful, someone who vanished. The man shrugs it off, finishes his drink, and the house waits.